Hey, everybody.
Hey, Rich.
Let's talk about the New York Jets, who made a big trade, it looks like. They're 2-4 now. And we'll see if there's too much water to bail out. I know I'm making a ship reference, Mike. I know it's not a plane reference. They're the Jets. They're not the New York boats. But they're, they've taken on some water here. 2-1 for the first time since 2015 after beating the New England Patriots with 400 yards of total offense in the first game of Week 3, and then they lose 3 in a row. In the middle of it, fire Robert Saleh. And so, I guess, in the middle of all of this, they decide to go ahead and acquire Davante Adams for their quarterback. And according to all reports, it's a conditional third-round pick. In next year's draft, it can be a second-round pick if Adams shows up to the Jets and in their remaining 11 games becomes a first or second team All-Pro.
Oh.
That's a lofty goal.
Okay.
Or if Adams is on the active roster for the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl for the Jets. And I'll tell you what, the Jets, if he is on the active roster for the AFC Championship game or the Super Bowl for the New York Jets, that second-round pick, whatever. Who cares?
Whatever, man.
Who cares? Who cares? And in terms of picks, anyway, what do the Jets care about it? I mean, they flipped the third-round pick for Hassan Reddick into the 2026 draft. He hasn't played it down for him yet. And as a matter of fact, he's got a new agent, and Drew Rosenhaus has apparently been given permission by Joe Douglas, the general manager of the Jets, to go look for a trade. So just when you thought Drew was going to save the day and get Reddick and Green, they're like, go see what's out there. And by the way, their third-round pick in this year, Malachi Corley. He's on the side of a football milk carton. So what do draft picks matter? And Davante Adams, I will tell you this. This just in. He's going to the Hall of Fame. And in terms of all the moments that I saw calling Jets Vikings, and anybody who's watched Jets football over the first 6 weeks of the season, the moments that were beginning to abate a little bit over the last couple of games, but the moments of, Rodgers likes to throw somebody open there. He's just throwing away from coverage, throwing him away from a bad hit. He wants to back shoulder here. Mike Williams, turn your head, because if you don't turn your head against the Vikings, Stephon Gilmore is going to pick it off and end the game. Those moments, they won't happen with Davante Adams. And as a matter of fact, when the Davante Adams rumor was red hot a couple of weeks ago, and the NFL Network crew, we had Aaron Rodgers sitting in a broadcast meeting before the Jets-Vikings game. I did ask him, when he was talking about some of the inconsistencies in offense, if 17 would fix that. By the way, he did say to me, you mean Malachi Corley? Because Malachi wears 17 for the Jets. Well, I don't know how much longer he's going to do that. But I'm like, no, I mean Davante, Aaron. And then he gave a lengthy answer talking about what Adams would bring to the young receiving room. And Alan Lazard is still, he's not a longtime veteran in this sport. But I think Davante Adams' voice in the wide receiver room will be like a record scratch, ripping off the record, and everybody will listen. And for those of us old enough to get the reference, an E.F. Hutton type moment. Remember those commercials? And E.F. Hutton, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
Yeah, kind of like Rich Eisen.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
And so it'll be a moment like that where Rodgers isn't the only voice saying, this is the way we like it. When the route calls for you breaking it off at 5 yards, you break it off at 5 yards. When the route says you need to be patient and be open at this time, not rush it and get yourself open too early, or be overly patient and get yourself open too late in our system. When Rodgers says that, now he's got a voice in that room like Davante Adams to carry the day. And we also are assuming that long after Aaron Rodgers is done with the Jets, and who knows what happens with Davante Adams, who has 2 very expensive years left on his contract. We're assuming they might address that later on, or maybe, heaven forbid, the Hassan Reddick situation has given them enough gumption to address it before acquiring him. That imbuing this into Garrett Wilson now helps Garrett Wilson long term, because the kid is incredibly talented and is blossoming already, and now won't get the top cornerback all over him, and maybe now won't get coverage shaded his way with a second defender. Now that will go to 17, not Corley, I mean Davante.
What if Corley don't give up the number?
And so that will go to him. And Lazard will keep doing what he's doing, which is, by the way, catching touchdowns for the Jets, and so on and so forth. Problem is Davante Adams doesn't play offensive line, doesn't play secondary, isn't part of that handsy secondary and handsy offensive line. By the way, I want to talk about stats that I picked up over in London. The Jacksonville Jaguars, as we all know, 1-5. Their season is in dire straits. Jets at 2-4, just a game above, but 1-5. That's dire straits. Okay?
Money for nothing.
That team at 1-5, do you know how many holding penalties that team has on the season? I'll tell you. 2.
2? That's it?
That's it.
What?
Offensive holding penalties. They had 1 going in, and they had 1 in a game against the Bears. And it wasn't even on the offensive line. It was one of their outside skill players who got popped.
Whoa.
How many times did the Jets' offensive line have 2 holding penalties on the same drive on Monday night? So how will Davante Adams help with that? How will Davante Adams help with guys who are grabbing receivers 10 yards down the field? How about defensive linemen that are running past one of the best running quarterbacks in the NFL, leaving Josh Allen pockets to step up, or escaping pockets to his right so he can find the third string running back for a field flipping catch last night in Ray Davis? How will Davante Adams help with that? Now, Adams will help with red zone problems. So maybe the Jets won't have to rely on G-Reg Zurillian to F everything up, like he did have a large role in doing on Monday night. And interestingly enough, if you think that the results of Monday night caused Joe Douglas to hit a panic button and say, we'll give you the second-round pick that apparently nobody else was giving you, Las Vegas, although with some very lofty guardrails that make it a third-round pick, and the Jets have a couple of those in next year's draft. In case you're wondering if they just panic buttoned this thing based on last night, by the way, also according to Adam Schefter and others, paying the entire $13.5 million that's left on Adams' contract to the Raiders, which, by the way, Woody Johnson has it. Just, and if Jets fans are concerned about it, buy more shampoo. Or, get the latest COVID vaccine from him. Bottom line is, if you think this was a panic button move, according to Albert Breer, Davante's already in New Jersey. He's in Florham Park. As a matter of fact, arrived last night to help settle this thing. He was there So Rodgers, when he was going through last night's game and had that 1,000-yard stare I have seen from multiple Jet quarterbacks before him, including, by the way, the guy he succeeded in Green Bay. I've seen that 1,000-yard stare of, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Why did I decide to come here? Why is life like this? Maybe I need to go back to Egypt and have some tea. Whatever was going through his lid last night, he knew Davante was already on the way. So, 2-4 is not the end of the world. Davante Adams should help with the red zone issues because he'll just back shoulder that baby from the 10-yard line. And Davante will coach everybody up in that receiving room if it's necessary for some. Obviously, Lazard is more fluent in Rodgers' ease than everyone else. And Todd Downing, the offensive play caller that is new, 393 total yards. Rodgers with 6 yards shy of his first 300-yard game in over 3 years. 2 100-yard receivers, a 100-yard running back last night. Not too bad, not too shabby, but 11 penalties called. Roughing the passer. Javon Kinlaw had a triple play in one sequence as well that totally helped gift this thing away for the Jets last night and put it all together, and now they can have one last reset. This is your last reset, Jets. One last reset. First reset was, okay, we're going to London. Next reset was, okay, we fired our coach and surprised everybody. Let's see what's going on. And now, after the Jets performed for their interim head coach in many phases of the game, certainly on Jeff Ulbricht's side of the football, like he was a substitute teacher, and kids' classwork and homework and demeanor got a little sloppy, like a substitute teacher. This is the last reset. You changed the coach. You changed the play caller. You changed time zones and countries for 1 week. And now you've changed the receiving room and a little bit of the culture by bringing in one of the best by the way, Rodgers, he might not be moving like he used to physically. But man, that arm, he's making some throws. And still, one of the best Hail Marys ever. Did it again last night. Last reset for the Jets. Problem is, you're now 2.5 behind first place in your division. And one of the teams that you're going to be trying to knock off for the wild card is a team that you lost to start the 3-game losing streak, Denver. That one might come home to roost later on in the season. And next up, at Pittsburgh. All of this stuff is going to play out in front of the country as well, I might add. Next game, Sunday Night Football. Then a visit to New England, which is probably going to be one of those classic 1 Eastern time games. And then a Thursday night against the Houston Texans. Hey now. Oh, and by the way, there's a Sunday nighter against Indianapolis in Week 11. That unless Davante Adams does not provide the relief and excitement and wins that a lot of Jet fans think that he can, that one may be on the flexing chopping block. But, again, the Jets have gotten to hit the reset button. The general manager can look at the owner and said, I've done everything I can, man. When my contract's up, I've done everything, Woody. Your quarterback wanted Davante, we got him. And Lazard. And you wanted Salah out, you got rid of him. This is what we've done. That's my take on the Davante Adams acquisition. Headline. Very splashy, very exciting. Can he block? Can he keep his hands off of people 5 yards down the field if he's covering somebody? No. It's his job to make somebody grab him 5 yards down the field. And hey, when it's time It's time to stop the other quarterback who's good at the football and running, too.
Running it. Yeah, right.
Can you not run past him when you're trying to sack him? And then, when the game's on the line, you need one last stop on third and middle. Can you have more than just Michael Clemens out there on the edge against him? What do you think? When the whole country knew it, I knew it, my son Cooper knew it, Xander was sitting to my left knew it. Even though on occasion he was more excited Taylor Swift was at the Yankee game. And Rex Ryan. Rex sitting on the Manningcast.
Yeah, Rex called
said, watch out, he's going to keep it.
Yep.
And Peyton Manning's like, they're not going to take it out of Josh Allen's hands at the end of this game. Sure enough. Will Davante Adams stop that? The point is, will he provide enough points where that stuff won't matter? We shall see. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.